Welcome to Kingston Stadium and week 4 of the high school football season. Waterloo West put up 37 points in a come-from-behind victory over Anamosa last week. The Jefferson Jayhawks look for victory number 1, playing a very difficult schedule to start the season. Jefferson does have a 3-game winning streak against West. The Wahawks and the Jayhawks coming up next on MC22.
To Logan Wolf, captain, 7-play, 75. To A.J. Coon, Marcus Orr doing a nice one with Cale O'Neill on the kick. Very next possession.
Welcome to Kingston Stadium. It's week 4 of the high school football season. Tonight, the Jefferson Jayhawks host Waterloo West. Good evening and welcome. Rob Brooks, pleased to be joined by Jerry Koala. And Jerry, you figure the Wahawks have talked about it. You look at Cedar Rapids Jefferson, 0-3, blown out last week by the number 1 team in the state, Southeast Polk, but had a close call against Liberty. You see 0-3, but this is a football team that is playing much better than they were at the start of the season. Have to feel like they got a chance tonight.
Tough to see progress when you've lost 2 of your 3 games against top 10 opponents in Class 4A, including last week's number 1 team in Southeast Polk. So yes, Cedar Rapids Jefferson hungry for a victory. Waterloo West comes in with a pretty athletic team, which they normally have anyway, year in and year out, but I think they've got it together for this year, considering they're 2-1 now. But they've lost to a top 10 team too. So this game might be between 2 evenly matched teams with varying records.
The Wahawks, a fun team to watch. They spread it out, like to go 50-50, but certainly can throw the football. At quarterback is Carter Schulte, outstanding baseball player. He's got a big arm.
Well, he leads this team out on the field very nicely. That's exactly what you want when you're running this read option and run pass option that he is. He got his feet wet last year as a starter, but not at quarterback. But he was on the field a lot, and they just transitioned him right into quarterback. So, yes, he's very capable.
Yeah, played wide receiver a season ago for Jefferson. Braden Kindheart. Yes, he's a big play guy on offense, but really is going to help the secondary, and that's a spot where the Jayhawks need to improve, but he has had a terrific season.
Yeah, he's going to have his hands on the football quite often, especially on the offensive side from the receiver, from a running back standpoint. He's a return man as well, but on the defensive side, they need him in there to bolster that defensive backfield. He's a great athlete. He's got a nose for the football, so certainly helping out that defense a lot.
And has played outstanding the first 3 weeks of the season. Should be a good one tonight. Both teams looking for some momentum heading toward the end of September. We'll have the Wahawks and the Jayhawks up next on MC22. High school football on Mediacom MC22 is brought to you by McGrath Family of Dealerships, 5 Seasons Tire, the Tom Riley Law Firm, Collins Community Credit Union, Heartland Hearing Center, and by Extreme, powered by Mediacom. Just about ready to get underway here at Kingston Stadium on a cool night for football. Wind and not going to be a huge factor tonight. And Jerry, Waterloo West has won the toss, elected to defer, so the Jayhawks will have the football first. Let's talk keys to the game. First off for the Wahawks.
Well, they got to have a well-balanced offensive attack here tonight. They pass the ball very nicely, as we talked about Carter Schulte at the outset of this broadcast, but they do have a nice running game. And then on the defensive side, they just need to dominate that Cedar Rapids Jefferson offense. They don't want to let them get off and get going.
How about for the home team?
Well, the Cedar Rapids Jefferson Jayhawks, they really got to get after Carter Schulte. They need to shake him up. And then on the offensive side, they've got to have unbroken possessions. They have got to have drives that take them downfield.
And this is Pope. We'll take it out to the 24-yard line, so pretty good return. And that's where Jefferson, this option type attack, will set up and try to get off to a good start. I think that's another key for the Jayhawks, and not getting behind by a couple of scores early.
Got to execute nicely. They've got to move that football downfield. They just have to be positively productive all the way through, not just this first possession, but for 4 quarters. That's really going to help them develop along the way.
Carson blitz, working out of the shotgun. has improved every single week. And he will fire the ball, and it is caught. And that's one of the big go-to guys that we've talked about is Kindheart. And he steps out of bounds at the 37-yard line. So a pass play that was executed very nicely. And now you know why Chris Busing has been so high on Braden Kindheart here in the month of September.
Absolutely. It was just a simple out pattern, but the defensive backs got messed up on their coverage.
39 yards. Exactly how the Jayhawks wanted to start. And here's the option. And Kindheart once again, and he's got some running room inside the 20. Shoved out at the 18.
Got a marker on the play, too.
Flag back at the 28. Betancourt shoved Kindheart out of bounds, who's got 281 all-purpose yards so far this year, and you see that will come back.
And you can see why he's got his hands on the football the first two plays, because he can do so much with it. But he can't do it on his own. He's so far has received, some good blocking up front, and then he ran a nice pattern on the very first play to pick up the 37-yarder.
There you see the starters. Noah Dukes at right tackle. For your varsity player will go both ways. Zane Wilson had a terrific game against Liberty. Blitz. And he is brought down by Mike Robinson, one of the leading tacklers for Waterloo West, that really has an outstanding group of linebackers, all three seniors. And you see him right there. Robinson, Ewell, and Rottinghouse. And this is a good secondary and a very quick four up front as well.
Senior-oriented defense will get you a long ways in this league, Class 4A.
And the handoff up the middle to Burnett. And he drives the pile inside the 30. Just about lost the exchange, but had a nice hole there initially at the line of scrimmage.
Looks like Blitz was going to try to pull it from him and continue on down the line. Burnett did a nice job really not to fumble that ball, because he did kind of rip it out of the hands of quarterback Blitz. And as we talked about in the Liberty game, I think so often quarterbacks want to run their options, second and third options at the beginning of the game versus handing off the football to your tailback running back up the middle to begin it.
Big play here on third down and stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And that's Nate Ewell. A terrific stop on Burnett. And that'll bring up fourth and about the same distance.
Yeah, you'll see Ewell get some penetration right in here.
Leading tackler.
He's a big boy, 230 pounds worth of linebacker.
6'1", 230. Has over 15 tackles as the Jayhawks will go for it on fourth down, and they hand it off to Kapongo, and he makes a move to the 21, and the wide side has worked very well for the west side.
Getting some good blocking on that left side. They're getting off the ball. This is a faster Cedar Rapids Jefferson team tonight than we saw against Iowa City Liberty, and I thought that they really had some good speed game going at that time, but you can see how fast Kapongo got to the outside, and Ewell just missed him. Got a wrong angle on him, but nevertheless, the Jayhawks pick up the first down and keep this drive alive.
Banks and Gardner on the stop for Waterloo West. Jayhawks 2-1. And Jefferson will take timeout on 1st and 10. 9:40 left to go here in the first, and an outstanding first drive. The big play has worked well for the Jayhawks, and then converting a fourth down.
Started right off with that 39-yard pass to Kindheart, whom we highlighted in the outset of this broadcast with his ability to handle the football. But yeah, they've taken the ball right down the field, just shoving it right at Waterloo West.
Honey Moore, head coach, has done an outstanding job building this program. And that record is very deceiving. He's had some terrific ball clubs here the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it was 8-2 3 years ago. They got into the playoffs, and it kind of dipped from there. He's really stayed with the course of action that he's put together in his plan. You got to build up your varsity program from the lower levels. And much like here in Cedar Rapids, they got the Metro Youth Football. They've got the same thing up in Waterloo.
Freshman team looked good. Sophomores picked up a victory against the Jayhawks earlier. Pongo up the middle. And it's going to be ruled down as the ball came loose.
And that's just the right play to watch as he hands the ball off. As you can see the opening right there. Kapongo does a nice job to get past the defensive end.
But that's a good play on first down, Jerry.
Pick up 5 yards.
And to the wide side once again. And Kindheart almost able to make the turn, but stepped out of bounds at the 12-yard line. That time, Waterloo West did a good job to string that toward the sideline.
And the sideline became their next defensive teammate. He had no place really to cut up. You see, Burnett probably should have cut up sooner to pick up a white jersey.
Vivians is there to string the play out of bounds.
First down and 10 for the Jayhawks.
Kindheart, 66 yards rushing against Southeast Polk. Had a couple of big plays in that game. Here's Pope up the middle. That's a good, tough run. And that's the nice thing that the Jayhawks have done so far is they've got the ball into the hands of their playmakers, and they're showing that they've got quite a few of them.
Well, they got an unbalanced line to the left side, and then they had Burnett to step between the guard and the tackle to become that extra blocker. So they had a whole wall right there to lead Pope to that hole.
And credit Carter Smith with a big block, and Pope into the end zone, and it's an opening drive touchdown for the Jayhawks.
How about that? Finish it off nicely. It's the progress that they've been making, although the scores haven't showed that much, against Washington last week against Southeast Polk, but this team continues to build behind the coaching staff that believes in them.
And Pope's first touchdown of the season.
Yeah, just a direct snap to him. You just see the alley he had to run through.
Cross for the extra point, and it is good. So Cross gets the extra point after a 6-yard carry by Dekai Pope, the junior. And couldn't ask for much more out of Jefferson here at the start of this one.
They had a nice job of mixing up the pass to the run. The pass really opened up that run, and especially on that first play. And then they just ran the ball down the field the rest of the way using 4 different running backs, 4 different people who can carry the basketball. And here's the finale of the possession with the touchdown run by Dekai Pope. Didn't even get touched.
And how about that offensive line? Let's give that Jayhawk O-line some credit as well.
Well, let's talk about that offensive line here, Rob. They got Preston Brooks, 6'3", 220 at left tackle, a senior. Junior Zane Wilson, 5'11", 220 at center. They've got Terrence Woods at 220, 5'11". Their right guard's Carter Smith, the senior, 6', 225. And then, of course, you talked about Noah Dukes at the beginning of this broadcast. He's the right tackle at 6'2", 220 pounds. Not large by any stretch of the imagination, but big enough, strong enough that they can move bodies around.
So an 8-play, 76-yard drive that took 3 minutes and 28 seconds. And just has to give the Jayhawks a ton of confidence to get that offense off to a good start that has struggled scoring points. Only scored 20 points so far this season. And 5 different players carried the football on that drive and averaged over 5 yards per carry.
You got to believe in what you're doing. No matter what happens the previous week, you got to come out and practice hard. Chris Busing and that coaching staff, and he's got a pretty good coaching staff down there. Some former Iowa Hawkeye players, people who have played the game, understand how to coach the game. But the deal is you got to motivate kids to want to play the best that they can be. And as soon as you can get that all assembled, you're going to start winning football games, and then you just fall into the mindset of every Friday you expect to win when you step on the field.
Betancourt deep for Waterloo West. Jacob Cross will let it fly. This is Betancourt, and he is driven down at the 23-yard line.
Well, they got the ball over the right hash, Rob, and the return was to the left, so he had to run a long way to get there. And sometimes your blocking breaks down. You'll see he's on the right side of the football field at the 6-yard line, but he's got to come to the middle to the left side, and you got to run a long ways. You got some blue jerseys that start getting to him quickly.
And that's a really good attack by Ahmed, 5'10" junior, making a big play on special teams. So Carter Schulte. And the spread attack of the Warhawks. And the give to Robinson. And not much room off the right side. Mike Robinson. 158 yards so far this year on 46 carries of the football. As you look at the starters for the Warhawks, Tay Norman, leading receiver, has a Division II offer with Bemidji State, has 17 receptions in 3 ball games. He'll be a big play threat tonight. Four wide on 2nd and 10. And the catch is made by Finn, and he's got a ton of room as he reaches out toward midfield and is going to be ruled down at the 47-yard line. So both teams with big plays in the first quarter.
Well, they ran what you would consider a pick pattern because the outside receiver shielded against defensive backs, so Finn could get to the outside and receive that pass, which he did, and he showed some speed. I think this is a very fast Waterloo West football team.
He had a 99-yard reception for a touchdown last week against Anamosa. And Robinson for 3 as the Warhawks go quickly.
And that's just it. After you run a big play, you want to get up to the line of scrimmage as quickly as possible, get that play run so you don't get the defense a chance to get settled.
Jackson Stone had a terrific season so far. Wilson talked about, Noah Dukes. Zabo, an outstanding linebacker. Kindhart now at the safety. Gonna help that third level out. Ball is fumbled by Rottenhouse, and the Jayhawks are on top of it. Coming away with the football is Markham. There is a penalty back at the 35. Personal foul against Jefferson, but after the play. So the fumble recovery, the turnover, will stand, and then it'll be a 15-yard walk-off against the Jayhawks.
Well, you'll see the ball get poked away from the receiver out here on this side, Clayton Rottinghouse. Nice bootleg pattern. Stepping up there is Pope to get his hand in there and just poke it away. Really got to tuck that football between the palm of your hand and the crease in your left elbow, so that ball doesn't get knocked out like it did there.
A good job by Pope, though, to get up there and knock it away. Try to make something happen defensively for Jefferson. So after the penalty, it'll be 1st and 10 back at the 39. Second offensive possession for the Jayhawks. And here's Kindhart. Looked like the first play of the ball game out to midfield.
Nope. And the only difference was it was a split-end screen. He just stepped behind the line of scrimmage. He's got some blocking out there and down the left sideline. They're giving him a lot of cushion out there on the outside. Jayhawks taking advantage of that underside yardage and letting Kindhart do his thing.
Jayhawks in their alternate jerseys tonight with West Side across the front. Lost to #1 Southeast Polk at Kingston last week, 69-13. But a lot of positives so far here tonight, and a whistle will blow this play dead, and this will be a penalty against West. Jefferson really played pretty air-free football last week against the state's #1 team.
Well, if you can't get your adrenaline flow to play the #1 team, let's take a look at Chris Busing here in his 3rd season. You know, he's a Jefferson kid. You know, he graduated from Jeff, so and he teaches at the high school. I mean, he's home. I mean, this would be a long-term career for him.
Passion for Jayhawk football. And making something out of nothing is Carson Blitz. Gets to the 46.
When he got back in the pocket and the receivers were running so deep, he didn't have enough time really to pick one up, and all of a sudden the rush is on top of him. So he tucks up right up the middle, gets back to the line of scrimmage. They always ask your quarterback to get back to 0, which is the line of scrimmage, and he actually picks up 3 yards. As good as a running play.
Devontae Betancourt, a nice tackle. And the Jayhawks stay up the middle. Boy, and nothing there for Burnett, and he was tattooed after maybe a pickup of 1.
Well, Ewell was on the top of that. He's the one that laid the shoulder pad into him to bring him down, but he was grabbed on the underside by one of those defensive linemen on the inside down. Actually, was another linebacker, Joseph Hartley, 5'11", 195. They got some strong, agile linebackers in that linebacking crew for Waterloo West.
That's the strength of this defense. Good tacklers. 3rd and 4. Looks like a little mix-up for the Jayhawks, and Blitz is covered up right at the line of scrimmage, and that'll bring up 4th down.
And you can see how fast that defense reads and reacts. That was a high snap that Blitz was unable to get to the running back, so he just did the right thing to try to make something out of the same, go to the same place. You see how the ball is up high, and he couldn't get it to Burnett, so go to the same place, except there's nothing there but white jerseys.
Yeah, Hartley was there. Ewell wrapped him up. And the ball taken by Norman. A couple of yards. Dangerous catch, but he did a good job to get out to the 20 after a 30-yard kick.
Tackle by number 22, declined.
And a penalty.
Well, that'd have been something running downfield outside defenders.
Personal foul against Waterloo West. So that'll take it back to the 10-yard line.
Right there. Blindside hit.
First down and 10 from the Waterloo West 10.
Trying to,
Point of emphasis, absolutely, all levels. Second possession for the Wahawks. Carter Schulte, studious football player, and just has to throw this one away as he was under pressure early. As a flag comes out.
Probably going to get a holding penalty inside. Flag is laying where the umpire would normally stand.
Tackle by number 12,
That's illegal. Offensive lineman downfield. What do they call that penalty?
second down.
An eligible receiver.
Eligible receiver.
You can't blame a lineman for how they get into the action.
And it's such a quick play because it was supposed to be a quick pass that Schulte wasn't able to get off to. He rolls out to the left, and the offensive lineman has blocked and started downfield.
So West heading in the wrong direction. Schulte from his own end zone shows off his arm, and it is incomplete. Had Vivian's wide open.
You can see how smooth Schulte is throwing that football. Gets back set in the pocket. Watches. Gets that back foot set. Nice delivery to the outside.
Well, he's got Division I potential in baseball as a pitcher. Throws in the high 80s.
That's a really nice touch on that soft pass out to the flat area, that out pass. And those are the toughest passes to throw because you have to throw it so far.
And a first-year starter at quarterback. Played wide receiver a season ago. Schulte on the move, and it is incomplete. Intended for leading receiver Tay Norman. He lost control of it on his way down, trying to stay in bounds.
That's a rare drop by Tay Norman, especially now watch Schulte get flushed to the outside. He's still 5 yards deep into the end zone, throws it to the outside. You see Norman sets right on the sideline. I think he probably took his eyes off the football as he was trying to get his feet set in bounds.
So 3rd and 15.
I'd run the same play. I mean, you got to get 15 yards for a first down.
Well, they've had 2 pass plays that have been pretty open.
Easily, yeah, they would have easily gotten first downs.
Waterloo West will take time out. The big 3rd down upcoming with 4 and 15 left to go in the first quarter. The Jayhawks 7, the Wahawks nothing. Rob Brooks and Jerry Koala back at Kingston Stadium. 3rd and 15 for the Wahawks out of the timeout. Schulte looks deep and overshoots. Intended receiver, Tay Norman.
Well, he showed his speed, and of course Schulte's showing the length of his arm, but you got nothing out of it. You got to turn around and punt from deep in your end zone. Cedar Rapids Jefferson going to get some good field position here. You know, I'm one of those traditionalists. Go for the first down, especially when you're as deep in your own territory as you are. Get up to that first down so you can get some new downs and keep moving the football.
Hoppus picks away a very good kick. But takes a bit of a Jayhawk bounce, and it'll be good field position for the Jayhawks. A nice defensive stand by Jeff after a 35-yard kick.
Absolutely. You know, 2 drop passes by Waterloo West hurt their chances, but Cedar Rapids Jefferson is anchoring in on that defensive line and those linebackers. They know exactly what their assignment is, who they're having to get after on the Waterloo West offensive side. Don't need those skills people to get loose on them tonight, and so far so good for the Jayhawks.
Third possession of the quarter for Jefferson. Scored 7 on its opening drive, and nothing there for blitz after a pickup of 1.
Again, Waterloo West stringing out that lead option. His 3 choices were to cut it early because they were stringing it out so far he could have maybe picked up 2 or 3 more yards than he got, or pitch it right away. You can see to the outside, had he pitched it right away, he'd probably got more yardage out of with his running back.
You know, and that's Hartley right there making the initial hit, and then Betancourt helped him out. Very athletic front 4 for the Wahawks. And Kindhart turns the corner, cuts it back inside the 10. End zone for 6. Braden Kindhart. 39 yards, another big play for the Jayhawks.
Just found his way through that offensive line. Had some good blocking. Early over tackle, and then he skipped to the outside. You'll see him come across. Now it's those blue jerseys opening up some area for him, and he does a nice job to hesitate And he runs right by some Waterloo West players.
And Pope, a nice block. And then Wiederin got away of another would-be tackler. Across the extra point. Perfect.
Point after attempt good by number 25, Jacob.
The Jayhawks at 0-3. Now, as we talked about in the open, this team has improved, gained some confidence, had a chance against Liberty, but has learned a lot against some very difficult competition and coming out and playing very well here in the first quarter.
And a lot of it is just recognizing, number one, the talent that we have, and let's put it together by executing the best we can. You got to give 99% on every play. You got to run hard, you got to block hard, you got to throw the ball as best you can. You got to run the right routes, and when you get your hands on the ball, and Braden Kinehart is just the perfect example of what we're talking about here. He gets the ball in his hands, and he's making things happen.
He's made things happen offensively and defensively. Has an interception return for a touchdown this year. Now over 300 all-purpose yards for the season.
He's just a junior, getting himself started, but he's
This
doing
is
a nice job.
This is a young football team.
Yes, sir. Chris Busing and that coaching staff building that program.
Jefferson is averaging over 9 yards per play. Robinson knifes his way out to the 26. Good special teams play by the Jayhawks once again as another flag comes out. That's a lot of flags here in the first quarter.
And they're trying to keep things under control, but the speed of the game sometimes gets players in the wrong positions, and you end up getting blocks in the back on kickoffs. And of course, kickoffs, returns, punt returns are where they happen the most because players are coming from different areas, they're at different distances from each other.
That'll bring the ball back to the 16-yard line.
A lot of penalties on Waterloo West here this first quarter alone.
Hand off to Robinson. He's their leading ground gainer. Had 49 yards on 19 carries against Stanamosa last week.
Got a couple good running backs, including Michael Robinson, Jay Shaw, who we've seen a little bit, can run the football, and you can see they've got good vision. They got good balance, trying to find a place to run to. Cedar Rapids Jefferson doing a nice job of plugging those gaps.
Robinson again up the middle. He's brought down by Matt Kitzmiller. Kitzmiller 6'2", 265, and a senior.
It's right up the middle. It's a handoff. Basic dive play, give you a chance to get your running back out on the open field.
One thing Lonnie Moore said this week, just got to avoid slow starts. I think he might put his first quarter in the category of a little bit of a slow start. Carter Schulte trying to change that. The keeper gets out past the 30-yard line.
Well, Cedar Rapids Jefferson has been focusing so much on Robinson and Shaw that Carter Schulte just did a nice job to fake the handoff. Watch this, the fake run. He just keeps it himself. Defensive end had already collapsed down. There's no extra support outside. Runs for a first down.
Pongo shoves Schulte out of bounds as he fires, and it's incomplete. Tried to hit Tay Norman across the middle, but well covered by the Jayhawks.
Jackson Stone got right to Carter Schulte as he was releasing that ball. And Schulte knew he had to throw it a little sooner than Norman was ready for it. But Jackson Stone was right there, a 6 foot, 250-pound senior defensive tackle.
Who picked up a NAIA offer this week from Mount Marty out of Yankton, South Dakota. Robinson up the middle. Tough run to the 35. Brought down by Jackson Stone.
5'11", 215 pounds is not easy to bring down, especially when he gets a full head of steam going. This is just a read option handoff. Nice little crease right up the middle. If he got there maybe a step sooner, he'd have run further.
Pass out to Ewell. Another big play guy, and he gets enough for a first down out to the 46-yard line.
Now this guy's got an amazing amount of speed. Watch him get to the outside. He's already lined up out here. Pass to him. Watch him run over the defensive back out here. Josiah Zabo punishes him for getting in his way.
Wiedemann makes the stop.
That would hurt a little bit.
And Zabo, a tough kid. Robinson up the middle. He's been the go-to guy on the ground, and that's a good run to midfield.
Well, they're moving the chains, going back to what's getting them there. 4 and 5 yards on a running play on first down, and then maybe coming back with something a little bit more exotic if you want to. But you can see the push that offensive line is getting on that Jayhawk defensive line.
Noah Dukes, Dane Wilson, bottom of the pile. And nothing for Robinson.
They were coming after him.
Dukes.
They came right after him.
Zane Wilson as well. And that'll do it for the end of the first quarter. Terrific start for the Jayhawks. But Waterloo West, the type of team that has the ability to score points in a hurry and come back. 14-zip, Jefferson. Jayhawks couldn't ask for much more to start this football game. No, they've got 3 more quarters of good football to play. Looking for victory number 1. And this Wahawk team will not get rattled down 14. Big play potential, and it is caught. And that is Tane Norman, who has been able to get open. This time Schulte and Norman connect.
Interesting, for as long as that pass is, that there wasn't a Jayhawk player within 5 yards of him when he caught the football. That's how much they respect his ability on the outside as a wide receiver. Schulte threw that ball 45 yards to pick up 25.
And Norman, good size at 6'3", 175. Back to Robinson. He's got a big hole. Gets a block into the end zone. Touchdown, Wahawks. $19 yards for Mike Robinson.
They sure got to put together on this possession, did Waterloo West. Got some nice blocking on that defensive end, and there's room out there on the outside. You see the speed that Michael Robinson has. You're either going to bring him down right now, or you're going to have a tough time bringing him down later.
We've got a Jayhawk down. Looks like Zabo. Taking a look at his left leg.
Well, you're playing that linebacker position on the outside. You're dealing with wide receivers coming at you. You've got offensive linemen coming at you. You've got running backs coming at you, all wanting to block you. Well, you're trying to make the tackle. Sometimes you can get caught up, get turned awkwardly.
Szabo, a big part, both offensively and defensively for the Jayhawks.
The way he's coming off the field, I'm not quite sure he'll be able to get back. But you're right, they certainly need his play.
So Brady Heidemann, a sophomore, comes into the football game. And the extra point is right through for Hoppus. So we told you that Waterloo West, potential, the big play, not only through the air, but Mike Robinson had plenty of room off that left side. Good drive put together by Waterloo West. 10 plays and 84 yards.
Well, kind of reminiscent of a week ago when they got down to Anamosa 14-0. They had to get it figured out. Stabilize themselves and get back in the football game, which they've done here. And this was a thing of beauty. Robinson, 6 carries on that possession. 37 yards rushing for him just on that possession alone.
Yeah, good looking running back. Guy that can run in between the tackles and also has the speed to get outside. So the Wahawks on the board. Taken by Pope. Breaks one tackle and gets out to the 26.
Returning kicks and returning punts is not about dancing too much after you get that football. You've got to be headed in the right in a direction your first 3 to 5 yards and then just get a burst of speed, because if you've gotten that first 3 to 5 yards, you're in some open field territory. He's got to find that open field.
Jayhawks working out of the shotgun. Carson blitz.
Opposite side.
Completed 8 passes against Southeast Polk last week, and timeout taken by Jefferson.
And a player missing. They only had 10 players on the line of scrimmage, and the guy that's coming out on the side, off the sideline, was trying to get completely to the other side of the field. They got down to 5 seconds on the play clock, had to take a timeout.
Well, with Szabo out of there, that's
Next
probably a
man
new
in.
player in there to fill that role.
Yeah, Szabo, he's listed as a tight end, plays a variety of positions. Yeah, he's not in there. So his backup would have had to have been.
Just looking at Szabo on the sideline, looks like they're tending to his left ankle, retaping it.
Yeah.
You see Josiah. Pongo. Not much room, swarmed under at the 28.
Looked good early and then just closed because of that pursuit by those white jerseys. He had a lead blocker out there in front of him. Sometimes you just got to learn how to cut up. Got to cut up. You don't want to string it out to the sideline yourself, because Kapungo actually outruns him. He's got Burnett right out here, so Burnett's looking for somebody to block, doesn't hit anybody, and by that time it's too late. Here comes the white jerseys.
Tyreek Gardner. able to make the tackle. Burnett. Good, tough run. That'll bring up 3rd and short.
That's a hard punch right off that right side. Burnett getting up a little bit slowly there, but boy, he saw that opening, got the handoff, and just burst through there. That extra adrenaline run, that flow that he had there on that run, got him those extra couple of yards.
Well, the Jayhawks have been able to move the football in between the tackles as well. Need 2. Jayhawks take another timeout. Play clock was running down.
I'm not sure what it was that Chris Busing didn't see that he wanted. But you can, see how important and how critical at this juncture of the game that play is. Got to get everybody lined up in the right position to know where that ball is going to be going. We talked early, Rob, before this game even started, about one of the Waterloo West coaches who was a former UNI offensive lineman. I was just watching him over there as he's talking to the defensive linemen about how to move, how to get off that football and move in the direction that the ball is going.
Yeah, Jackson Scott Brown started all games for the Panthers in 2017 and 2018. First team all Missouri Valley Football Conference, a heck of a player. And a heck of a run by Justin Burnett. One of the best holes Jayhawks have paved the way for Burnett so far tonight.
Well, they're finding that they can do real quick hitters right up the middle to the right off tackle, left off tackle, and Jefferson really doing a nice job of sealing and kicking out, allowing the running back to get there.
Finn with the stop, but not until the Jayhawks get 1st and 10. This time Blitz will keep it. And that's going to be a pickup of 12 and another first down.
Interesting, boy, if he'd handed that off to Burnett, Burnett runs for a touchdown. He had the same play. I thought it was the exact same play he was going to hand it off because he had the same opening.
Well, Blitz playing very good football. Has really improved this month. Little pump and go, and it is incomplete. Lonnie Melvin, the intended receiver, got a couple of passes for 24 yards last week against Southeast Polk.
Like Carson Blitz on this decision to go to Melvin. I'm not sure he wanted to go to him deep, and all of a sudden he realized that he could. Little pump fake there. Melvin just needs to keep running. You'll see if he keeps running versus turning and trying to jump up to catch it. Just run downfield. Your quarterback will lead you downfield for an easy reception.
It looks like he might have got tangled up with Finn, the defensive back. Burnett, this time pulled back by Campbell.
Okay, so let me talk about the option again. That time there was 3 white jerseys there. Ride him in, and your lead back was open. So if he rides him in, you can see Kapunga to the left. Now this probably was a called dive play, not quite sure, but if Blitz pulls it and pitches to Kapunga, he's got himself a nice gain. See Kapunga out there to the left. You see all the white jerseys in the middle. Big offensive lineman down on that turf.
Kitzmiller, I believe.
You know, those cleats, they still dig in, and they get a lot of grip, and if you get too much, something's got to give, either an ankle or a knee or a hip somewhere. And you got all that body, and then you got the force that you're putting on against the defensive lineman. A lot of pressure on that body.
Good to see him get up.
Yes, sir.
Kitzmiller's done a terrific job too along that defensive line.
Guys that going both ways. When you have to do that, fatigue really can settle in early in a football game. So you got to be in tip-top shape.
Especially if you're playing against teams that don't have to do that or don't do much of it. Blitz. Melvin. He'll lose a couple of yards.
Well, they saw that coming in a hurry, didn't they, Rob? He well saw that. He went right after Melvin, brought him down. Loss on a pass. Watch this, top of the screen. Try to set up a little split end screen on the outside. Here's Ewell. Wasn't going to have anything to do with a fake run.
Boy, that's how you tackle right there. One of those outstanding seniors. 3 linebackers. They're caught at the 14-yard line by Norman. 35-yard kick.
The Jayhawks ran 7 plays on that possession. Started back on their 26 and got all the way to
had a lot
the
of promise.
Waterloo West 42-yard line. So keep plugging away at it. We'll see if Waterloo West offense can continue with that momentum they built up on their last possession. That was 10 plays and 84 yards.
Good mix, and that's exactly what Lonnie Moore wants to do in a perfect world, is be very balanced out of that spread attack at 50-50. Sometimes teams will really load the box on them and they'll have to throw a little bit more, as this is incomplete. It's Tay Norman, the intended receiver.
Just a rollout and an out pattern to Tay Norman, just outside him just a little bit. Yep, you got to learn how to run those patterns to the outside. Your quarterback's going to lead you to the sideline.
Robinson for a couple. Justin Burnett. One of the Jayhawks in on the stop.
Yeah, Robinson can just bust forward. He's got a lot of strength. Jayhawks doing a nice job of closing down on it. Not allowing anything big to happen.
Robinson over 50 carries on the year. Third and 8. And here comes Zabel back into the game. That's good news, and it's caught by Norman out past the 40-yard line. Just somehow able to go get a jump ball.
Well, Schulte rolling out to his right. I know he wanted to go deeper to Norman. Norman came back to actually get that football. He was wide open running down a seam, and then he slipped out into the flag route. You'll see him right here. Does a nice job to come down with the reception.
Markham with the stop after a pickup of 29. Here's Robinson, has plenty of room and gets out to midfield. Upended by Kindhart and a flag. Coming back.
Well, they'd been avoiding penalties in the last possession and a half. These are the ones that hurt the worst, but you got to regroup, get some plays going, gain back the 10 that it's going to cost you on the holding penalty.
That moves the football back to 21. You see 4 penalties for 45 yards for the Wahawks. Just 2 for Jefferson. And this one, Melvin had a chance at it, but it was intended for Norman, who has a couple of catches, averaging over 28 yards per reception so far.
Way over the head of Ty Norman. He throws a pretty hard football. That's a short pattern. Sometimes you got to learn to put just a little bit of touch
That's
on
the
it.
fastball. It's the 88-mile-an-hour fastball coming at you.
He zipped that nicely, and Norman just was unable to get his body in position to get up and catch it.
Schulte, outstanding baseball player for Waterloo West. Goes to the air across the middle, and it is caught. And on the move is Ewell, and he could take it, and does, into the end zone. Extra point away from tying this football game up. 69 yards.
He was out on the left side. They had 3 receivers out there. He was the inside receiver, just ran right down the middle, past the linebackers, around the free safety. Carter Schulte picks him up nicely. He's at the top of the screen, as you see right here, play action.
I was going to him the whole way. Hindart tried to strip the ball away from Ewell, but had it secured and a touchdown. And it's blocked. And coming away with the football is Bledsoe.
Could be large in this football game as we go down the stretch.
Big special teams play. There you see Nate Ewell, leading tackler. Does it on offense. 86 yards. Here's the 5th play. And that's the one that did the damage.
Did the right job. Just had a real short post pattern. Schulte created the opening for him by doing a play action to keep those linebackers honest, and all of a sudden there's Ewell running right down the middle of the field. Got to have a lot of savvy as a defender to really be able to, number one, pick up the idea that it's just a play action pass and you got to find your receivers, but you got to lock onto your receivers right away and run with them.
Officials timeout. Still plenty of time for the Jayhawks with 7:12 left to go in the second quarter. 1-point football game. Junior Jackson Hoppus, 2-year starter. It's set to kick off. Big plays on both sides. Entertaining first half.
Yeah, it took Waterloo West a little ways, a couple possessions to get it moving. And I think they're into their groove right now.
Well, that's one thing Coach Moore talked about. He says we've got to avoid slow starts, but in the same breath, really likes the way this team stays in it, stays the course, and comes back. And they have done that. And I think they'll rule that down. Well, the officials.
Michael Robinson getting in there on that hit. You try to deviate away from where that return is going. You're not going to get very far because blocking is set up for where you want to be. You should have just stayed on the inside, stayed in the middle. It's Kindheart.
Yep.
Stay right in the middle. You get to the outside, your blocker's blocking the defender to the outside.
Blitz with plenty of time. Tries to connect with Melvin and can't. It'll be 2nd and 10.
If he's a little more patient, he sees his inside receiver running straight down the field. That was Kaponga. Right down the middle of the field, he was wide open. I mean, he does the right thing here to go to the short pattern. Safety valve, if you will. Melvin unable to come up with that reception.
A couple of them last week. Just a junior. Kindheart This play has worked for the Jayhawks. Not this time. The way flag comes out. Vivian's made the stop. And this should go against Waterloo West. Yeah, horse collar. That'll be another personal foul.
You know, it's tough for the defender to not grab on to the shoulder pad. You know, he's trying to get him down on the ground. I think the line of sight, he was looking at him, so I'm not quite so sure that maybe horse collar should have played into it.
Grab at the jersey. First and 10 for Jefferson. And fumble. But I think the Jayhawks have recovered it. Looked like Zabo got in there and saved the possession for Jefferson.
Well, Burnett doesn't give him the belly option to put it right in his stomach. He's trying to reach out and grab it with his hands, and now and then you're going to come up with fumbles like he did right here, and he just popped forward. Certainly Zabo at the bottom of that pile with the recovery.
After that ankle injury, got it retaped. He's back in there. That's good news.
Believe it or not, they'll credit Zabo with the run on that.
2nd and 6. Pope has a touchdown tonight, and that's out to the 41. Good enough to move the chains.
Absolutely. That's great offensive line blocking on that right side. They did an excellent job of opening up a territory for Pope to run through. That's Noah Dukes and Carter Smith on that right side, along with center Terrence Woods. You see on the right side, look at him just opening. Look at that gap. And that's good assignment football with that offensive line.
Rottinghouse, among others, in there for West. This time, absolutely nothing up the middle.
Got to come back and, you got to have that same fire. You got to want to make that same block again and spring your running back forward again. You just can't have these no yardage plays.
Well, Mike Robinson had something to say about that one on Pope.
Well, Waterloo West has made this a completely different game with those last 2 possessions and touchdowns.
No surprise. Quick hitter across the middle, and it is incomplete. Tried to hit Kindheart.
You can see that he's blaming himself. This is a play action quick slant pass. You got to, what you're doing is you're freezing those linebackers and giving your inside receiver a chance to run that real quick slant. Kindheart just wasn't looking for it.
Now it's 3rd and 10 inside of 5 minutes left to go in the second. And nowhere to go for blitz. And that'll be a loss. Betancourt, part of that outstanding linebacker core for Waterloo West.
I'm not quite certain if Pope was supposed to be swinging out to the left side, but all the receivers were running downfield. 3 of the receivers were running deep patterns, so I'm assuming that he was looking for somebody on the underside where he'd be open and where the linebackers would be, but there was nobody there, so he had to suffer the 6-yard loss.
Now cross on to punt. Has to elude one potential blocker. And here's Robinson on the move. The Jayhawks do a good job to get him down after a short game. It is Hatchett making the tackle after a 41-yard kick. And Norman was in the area. Watch this. This is after the low snap. Pretty good job by Cross. Nope. Make that fin. and then found some room to kick it away.
The two options are either to tackle the punter if you get a chance to get to him so he doesn't punt it, or block it. He didn't do either. I have seen them getting very close to the kicker or the punter for Cedar Rapids Jefferson. I was just wondering if they were ever going to be able to get one blocked. There was the greatest opportunity.
Schulte 6 of 12, but will hand off to Robinson, and he'll pick up 4.
That's Caponga here on the outside, bring him down. Nice shot
Good
to
sharp
get him
tackle.
low.
Yep.
Got him low because you can't tackle him from the thighs up. You got to hit him from the knees down.
Buzzsaw there as well.
And he still picks up 4 yards.
Robinson breaks 1. Gets into the secondary, but then brought down by Burnett.
See how hard he's running.
He has been the go-to guy as far as the run game is concerned tonight.
Watch him off that right side. And was Dukes is kind of locked up with his offensive lineman. Robinson's got some good wheels for a man his size.
This time Schulte keeps it, and he can run with the football, and he's tackled out of bounds by Lonnie Melvin.
Again, that's just the typical quarterback. He sees that the defense is focusing on the running backs because they've been carrying the football over and over and over again. He just makes the fake here and keeps it. Blue jerseys just weren't looking for him. Defensive end was sucked down.
This is caught at the 41. That's Norman. Gets out of bounds and stops the clock at 2:41.
It's amazing the kind of games that are played out there among all these positions. You know, Tay Norman on the outside, he just runs really good routes. He's got really good speed. He's got some nice hands. So they just go to him on specific plays. Like, all right, this is Tay Norman's turn. We're going to run, you know, 12-yard out. We're going to complete it. That's exactly what they do.
And he can get behind you. So he's going to have a cushion, Lonnie Melvin on him. Robinson keeps those legs going and gets past the 35.
He's having fun, isn't he? Getting stronger as this game goes along with every carry that he has. You see him off the left side. Caponga gets in here. Just kind of gets in the way. Does enough to slow him down to bring him down.
Not an easy guy to bring down.
No, he is not.
Under 2 minutes. West on the move. Finn breaks a tackle. Inside the 5. And a touchdown saving tackle made by the Jayhawks.
Oh, man. Jayhawks are going to kick themselves because they had him at the line of scrimmage on an initial hit, and Melvin just couldn't bring him down. Watch us to the outside. A good play call, stretching that defense out. Melvin had a chance to bring him down and tries to arm tackle him. Finn
Burnett,
a little bit too strong for that.
Yeah, Burnett able to get him out of bounds, but now it's 1st and goal. And Ewell fights for that end zone, and touchdown to Waterloo West.
You got those 2 big backs back there. You throw Ewell back there, he's just another sizable lad with that ability.
So another big play results in an Ewell touchdown run.
Taking control of this second quarter. Started at the end of the first quarter. for Waterloo West before they scored their first touchdown.
And the pass is tipped away, and conversion is no good. Pope does the job defensively.
And they were trying to, gain back that extra point that they had lost. They could have completed that pass to make it 21-14. Kind of get back to a natural rhythmic scoring. But open some things up in that second half. Oh, they had the fake on. They put Carter Schulte at the left wing.
And it was open.
And at the snap to the holder, the kicker moves forward. Schulte's running from left to right, looping, and they pitch it to him, and he throws it off to the right side.
Good heads-up play by Pope.
Absolutely, nice defense by the Jayhawks.
Because the Wahawks did have Finn open the back of the end zone.
So here's the touchdown run. That was the direct snap to Ewell.
And just a couple of missed tackles, costly for the Jayhawks. And that was one thing Chris Busing said this week. We just need better tackling. Got to get guys in the right position. And that showed up on this particular drive.
And when you do, you've got to put shoulder pad into a guy like Ewell, who runs the way he does, and Robinson, who runs the way he does. To bring him down, you have to put a shoulder pad into those thighs and below and wrap. It's almost like calf roping, if you will, because you got to get low. You got to get a hold of those extremities.
Short kick taken by Kindhart. Not much there as he gets out to the 24. Jefferson out of timeouts. Waterloo West averaging almost 10 yards per carry or per play, aided by some really big plays here in the first two quarters.
Well, they threw that pass to Finn. Of course, that was just a split-end screen, if you will, to the right, and he was able to run for 33 yards. But it's still a big play, no matter how you look at it, which led to the next play, a 3-yard run by Ewell.
Blitz, nowhere to go, and he's driven to the turf. Betancourt there to greet him. And now the Wahawks, Jerry, getting in that backfield with more consistency.
Absolutely. Berlitz has to know that Pope is out to his left as a swing pass, and I think that's where he really wanted to go because the receivers are running off the defensive backs.
Here's the pitch. And nothing there for Pope, though he does get out of bounds, but it'll bring up 3rd and long.
The wheels kind of falling off for Cedar Rapids Jefferson in the last couple of possessions. They can still make something happen on this, just pick up the first down and give themselves a chance to breathe a little bit and relax.
Handoff to Kapongo. Gets out beyond the 30, and we have a flag.
Kindhart's going to be the victim of perpetrator for holding, but I think what he did is he blocked on that outside, knocking the player down, and then he fell on top of him. Is that holding?
It is tonight.
Watch this at the outside. You see Kindhart right there. Well, yeah, I guess he got a hold of those shoulder pads, doesn't he?
I'd say so.
Oh man, if you're going to do it, don't do it so blatantly, because you're isolated to the official.
Pope, big hole. Does a good job to hang on to the football. Finn on the stop. But now, wisely, Waterloo West will take a timeout.
Well, you suppose they'll set up for a block, try to block this punt, since
Well,
they've
as
been
you said,
so
they've
close.
been able to get close to cross on a a couple of occasions, but still, with their big play potential, they can take a couple shots deep.
And the way they've been playing this second quarter, they finished their possession that started at the end of the first quarter with the 19-yard run by Michael Robinson at their third possession of the game. On their very next possession, the 69-yard pass completion to Ewell. Their very next possession. So they've scored on 3 consecutive possessions here in the second quarter. 3-yard touchdown run by Ewell.
And if you're Jefferson, you want to be able to go to the locker room only down 19-14. Cross needs a good one. And just about blocked by Finn. Well, he got there in a hurry. Cross did a good job to get rid of it. And a good kick. 134 yards.
And again, Jeremiah Finn just missing that block.
Really close on that one.
We'll see if Waterloo West decides to sit on this.
I don't think they will.
With the momentum that they've gained with 19 second quarter points.
Remember, they won the toss and deferred, so they'll have first offensive possession in the third quarter.
I mean, if he's a gambling guy, Lonnie Moore, might go for something here.
Well, trips to the right.
If you can do 2 or 3 20-yard plays, that'll put you right in position.
Across the middle, Ewell breaks it and will take it. Touchdown, Waterloo West. 59 yards. Another big play for the West Wahawks.
Well, that's based on Cedar Rapids Jefferson. They're just not tackling him. They had 4 blue jerseys around him, tried to swing him around to bring him down, and he stayed on his feet. Just a simple pass.
Plenty of blue jerseys there, yep.
3 touchdowns in this third quarter, or the second quarter for Nate Ewell.
Plus, he's made some outstanding plays on defense. And this extra point is missed off the left upright. So Waterloo West hasn't done hardly anything wrong in the second quarter, except trying to convert an extra point.
Well, those are simple problems to overcome, if you will, especially the way they've gained momentum, 25 second quarter points. You see, Ewell just lined up as a tight end. Just ran a simple hook route that turns into a 59-yard touchdown pass. Having a little fun with, what are they doing? I hear TikTok's going to be removed from existence for a while.
A little selfie down there.
I can't keep up with all those new technological advancements.
But we do know that West is having a good time on the sideline right now.
They are. They've created that entertaining moment for themselves.
Kindhart breaks loose out to the 35. Wasn't too far away from really making a big play out of that one.
Burst through that first line, defensive line. There's 7 or 8 white jerseys there. Fortunately, the safety valve defenders on that kickoff team were there to bring down Kindhart.
Jayhawks still in this football game.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. But they've got to have a couple of possessions, Rob, where they gain scores.
Kindhart. He gets out of bounds.
Again, those linebackers for Waterloo West are creating havoc. for this running attack for Cedar Rapids Jefferson. The defensive line is just there to tie up the offensive linemen, let those linebackers get to the gaps to make the stops. This play is strung out. It's on the weak side of the field, and so they string it all the way out to the outside. Cuts down the running room that Kindhart had to try to get downfield.
Well, they run well and they tackle well. The pitch. Burnett. It's out of bounds at the 41.
So Blitz strings it out a little bit too far himself. I think if he'd have taken 2 less strides, pitched it sooner to Burnett, would have given Burnett a chance to make some running room. Once you realize that there's nobody there, pitch it right now.
Wrapped up by Rottinghouse. Kindhart again. And gets out of bounds. Zeros on the clock, and that'll do it for the first half. Jefferson scored the first 14 points of the ballgame. But the Warhawks have come back with 25 of their own after a big second quarter and lead it at the half 25-14 on MC22. (25-14). We are at the half. The Warhawks over the Jayhawks. Rob Brooks and Jerry Koala. Jefferson scored the first 14 points of the game. Let's take a look at the first half highlights.
Got the momentum build right up right away with a 39-yard pass. That's to Braden Kindhart. Racing down that left sideline, gets bumped out of bounds, couldn't get for a touchdown, but it would lead to a score for the Cedar Rapids Jefferson Jayhawks as Dekai Pope on a 6-yard touchdown run. That'd give Cedar Rapids Jefferson some momentum in the 7-0 lead. Waterloo West would come back. Well, not on this particular play. Pope doing a nice job to knock away the football from the receiver out there. Clayton Rottinghouse recovered by Cedar Rapids Jefferson. That would lead to this touchdown run. This also Braden Kindhart, and he's down that right sideline, cutting back using the block from Pope, and it turns into a 39-yard touchdown run for the junior Bradenhart. But Waterloo West now starting to kick it into gear as Michael Robinson taking off down the left side. Look at the speed, the wheels that young man has. Runs 19 yards for Waterloo West first score, but they weren't done in that second quarter. They dominated the second quarter with 25 points. Here's a pass out to the wide receiver, Tay Norman. And then here's a pass right down the middle. It's Nate Ewell, the first of 3 touchdown runs for Nate. As Bradenhart tries to pop away that football, can't get it from the strength of Ewell. Here comes his second touchdown run. This one covering just a few yards, 3 yards on that run. The rest of the highlights in this second quarter come from Waterloo West. Here is a 2-point pass conversion that's tipped away by Dekai Pope, but Waterloo West wasn't done. Just with less than a minute remaining, here's Ewell again with the pass in a simple hook zone. Jefferson does not bring him to the ground. He spins off the tackles, runs into the end zone for the score. And that's what gives Waterloo West 25 second quarter points and an 11-point advantage.
Take a look at the stats. 260 passing yards for the Warhawks, but many of those on short passes that resulted in big plays, and 340 total yards of offense. And Jefferson able to have a very good first quarter offensively. That certainly slowed down in the second. And you look at the time of possession, the Jayhawks have been able to move the football and lead in that category, but it's Waterloo West that leads on the scoreboard right now, 25-14. Still anybody's ball game. We'll be back to Kingston after the break on MC22. It's about ready to start the third quarter. Ron Brooks and Jerry Koala from Kingston Stadium, 25-14, Waterloo West. Well, Jefferson came out. Ton of momentum, Jerry, in the first quarter. Got out to that 14-0 lead, and then 25 straight points for Waterloo West, which they've done that before. Had to come back last week against Anamosa, won that game 37-14 after getting down. But first thing the Jayhawks are going to have to do is get a stop, try to get some points on the board and get that momentum back offensively.
Really got to tackle a lot better here at the beginning of this third quarter. This is a very crucial possession for Cedar Rapids Jefferson defensively.
And Mike Robinson is wrapped up at the 25-yard line. Good special teams play tonight by the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I've done all right. Had avoided a couple of would-be blocks on punts, but they are getting downfield and covering. It's just important that they pick up their tackling, not only individually, but as a team. They need to swarm tackle. They need to be a step ahead of Waterloo West nearly on every play on defense, because they've got to get that momentum back swinging their way, trailing by 11 points here in this third quarter.
That's what head coach Chris Busing, the Jayhawks, said this week. We've got to tackle better. We've got to be in position. Right up the middle, Robinson. That'll be a pickup of 4. Had a terrific second quarter.
He did. He and Ewell both. You see this. Here's Michael Robinson, and Dylan Markham will come in, sneak in from left linebacker position, bring him down, but not until he picks up 4 yards. Robinson
at 55 yards on 12 carries in the first half. Did a few more.
Well, for as soft as really the conversation has become about football because of safety player, Jefferson is just going to have to be tougher here this entire second half. They just got to come out and play hard, play heavy, and put a lot of shoulder pads into ball carriers.
Zabo in there, among others. And it's good gang tackling by the Jayhawks in a big 3rd and 2. Keeper and the pass across the middle, and it's caught. On the move is Finn. 6'2" junior will get the first down and into Jayhawk territory.
There's so much distance between the linebackers and the free safety. Jefferson doesn't want to allow anything deep, so they're going to give up the underpass. Here's a play action, freezes those linebackers, and it just opens up Finn right across the middle. You saw him kind of sneak across the middle of your screen.
Kindheart greeted him. And almost a fumble by Robinson, but he was able to gain control and hang on to the football, but he'll lose 4 and bring up second down.
Jayhawks need to continue to have these kinds of plays. Here's Schulte.
Schulte just lost it.
Yeah, rolled off his hands, and Robinson got a good bounce right back into him.
Jayhawks are right there. Jackson Stone with the stop. And almost picked off by Lonnie Melvin. Terrific read.
Yeah, those are the plays that you want to jump. You can see it coming. Get yourself in there, because he's playing a hard cornerback position anyway, so get yourself out there. Make that play. I could imagine what the halftime conversation was between Chris Busing and that Cedar Rapids Jefferson football team. It probably didn't take a lot of words, just the right ones.
Norman, the intended receiver, and the flag comes out. That's going to go against Jefferson.
It's got to be disciplined, man. You got to wait for that football to move. You can't listen to the non-rhythmic cadence of that quarterback. Don't even listen to the sounds at all.
So that now brings up 3rd down and 9.
Jefferson's still trying to get set up defensively. I just don't think that they're aligned right.
Now West starting to shift a little bit on the left side as well. 4 wide. Here come the Jayhawks. Schulte on the move, and he'll tuck it. plenty of room, and that's something he's capable of. And gets inside the 30-yard line.
Dylan Markham is just going to hurt himself badly. You watch him race in from the left side, but he takes too narrow. Watch him right there. He takes too narrow of approach. You got to stay to the outside and leave your left side open so he doesn't get outside of you, because he's the outside contained man.
And Schulte with good feet. Remember, he played wide receiver, so he knows how to move in the open field. Spin move at the line of scrimmage for Robinson. He backs his way for a couple.
And really what Waterloo West is doing now, just maintaining possession, moving the chains, eating up a lot of clock. Time isn't going to be on the side of Cedar Rapids Jefferson if another score is gained here by Waterloo West. Boy, what a nice reverse pivot.
But well read by the Jayhawks. Everybody stayed at home. Pickup of 2. First possession of the third quarter. Schulte eludes one, fires into traffic, and it's incomplete. Norman was there, as well as Finn, but well defended by the Jayhawks. It's going to be roughing the passer against Jeff.
Carter Schulte's pretty elusive, and then once he gets a chance to throw the ball, because you can see downfield, he's going to put the ball on the spot. So Cedar Rapids Jefferson just not able to get to him. And then the moment that they do, becomes an illegal hit on him.
So penalties have hurt the Jayhawks here early going in the third quarter.
First down and 10 from the start.
Robinson has a lane. And Zabo, with good pursuit and a tackle by Josiah Zabo. With 13 tackles for Jefferson coming into tonight.
Got it wrapped around in those shoulder pads. You see Zabo coming from behind Robinson right here. Just got a chance to get those arms on those shoulder pads and roll him around.
Gain of 6. Schulte. It's caught. Touchdown. Finn, the junior, with the reception. 8-yard reception.
And they just used the first foot of the end zone, Rob. They didn't have to go deep. They didn't have to run a deep corner route. You see Finn was at the bottom of your screen, and he just catches it right at the goal line. And all he has to do is just have the ball cross the plane.
Ran a good route. And Schulte delivered on time. Oh, and on the move now is Norman. And he fires into the end zone. It's batted away by Zabo.
Well, every coach is looking for a weakness in a particular game. Lonnie Moore going to be able to pick on that one.
Not much has gone wrong for Waterloo West, especially since the first quarter, but extra points have been somewhat of an adventure. But West leads it 31-14. Jayhawks will have the football when we come back. So Hoppus will kick off. Jayhawks will get the ball for the first time. Time-consuming drive by the Wahawks. And this ball somehow stops at the 1-yard line. Just nothing going right for Jefferson.
Nobody back there to receive it.
Kickoff recovered by number 22,
He must have assumed that he was going to kick it short, kicked it over their head, and they let it go, thinking
Or
it was going to go
into
bounce
the end zone. Right?
They got to punch their way out of here. Give themselves some breathing room. Move the ball downfield.
Carson Blitz, just a sophomore. A young football team. Jefferson, sophomore quarterback, plays a lot of juniors. Not in an envious position right now. They have to hurry to get this play off. They got to be careful here, and looks like Kindheart got to the 1, and he's in obvious pain.
Twisted up as he was being tackled.
Having a terrific season, too.
He's having a nice game.
Really got off to a great start. to 14, Waterloo West. Don't forget to join us for Talk Sports on Tuesday night, 6:30. Kevin Dolan and myself. Had some good calls, especially from Waterloo. We're getting a lot of calls from Waterloo, which is great. So hopefully a lot of fans are watching the Wahawks here tonight, and will join us at 6:30 this Tuesday. Might have a Big Ten football schedule released by then, so there'll be plenty to talk about.
It'll be interesting to see how they line all these Big Ten teams up by either proximity, or will they do it by divisions?
Well, you play your division teams.
So they'll play.
And then 2 crossover.
Okay.
So that'll be the 8 regular season games, and then there'll be a 9th game.
Where they end
Which
up
will be
in
the
their
weekend,
division.
which will be the weekend of Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, the 19th and 20th of December. That'll be interesting. It'll be nice to see, get the schedule going and get these teams playing.
Well, we are in injury timeout. Let's take a break. 7:25 left to go in the third. 31-14 Wahawks. Braden Kindheart assisted to the sideline. Certainly wish the best for him. Junior. And a huge part of this Jefferson Jayhawk football team.
Rushed by number 22, Pope.
Pope with the carry. He's had some good moments tonight as well.
He has, offensively and defensively. If this is the way they're going to go, just let him back there and take direct snaps, because I don't quite know what kind of a backup quarterback situation they have. Zach Henderson is listed.
3rd down and 9.
So Pope takes the direct snap. And nothing there as he is greeted by Tavius Campbell.
You can see the Waterloo West's offense has picked up their defensive play. And then you throw on top of that the fact that Cedar Rapids Jefferson started at its 1-yard line. You just want to continue to make it difficult for the Jayhawks to move the football and then make them punt from deep in their own end zone.
Cross has been under heavy pressure on a few occasions. Gets this one away quickly and nicely, but returnable for Norman. And he's brought down at the 35. Good tackle by Zabo after a 38-yard boot.
Good coverage. You had to get down there quickly. It was a low line drive punt. Sometimes the punt team isn't quite downfield to be able to defend that. And that's Finn that's in the end zone laying down on his back. I think I saw him as he didn't have a chance to block that punt, but he went down.
It looks like he might be cramping.
Training staff keeping busy tonight.
Yes. And he's had a very good football game.
You know, we have a number of athletes at Waterloo West as we continue to observe this team. You know, Schulte we talked about, of course the 2 big running backs in Ewell and Robinson. Throw Finn in there.
And that defensive line too has done a good job. And Campbell, Bentoncourt, and coaching staff made a concerted effort to get a little quicker up front. Not necessarily the biggest guys in the world, but wanted to be quicker on defense, which is especially important against option teams and spread teams. And they've just tackled very, very well, especially in the open field.
Got to be able to react to where that ball is going. You know, sometimes so much misdirection, but against that option, you know, you got to fill the gaps, you got to fight off blocks and get to the ball carrier as quickly as possible. Coach Moore and his staff have done that at least nicely. You know, they you know, losing to Cedar Falls 2 weeks ago, blindsided and, you know, shut out. They returned to perform last week against Anamosa. Certainly, as they look ahead to the the remaining parts of their schedule, and again, every team in the state gets into the playoffs in their respective class. So, you know, this Waterloo West team could do some damage if they stay healthy for number 1 and number 2. They just continue to stay together as a team.
Dubuque Senior, and it won't be easy coming down the stretch. Dubuque Senior at Kennedy and Dubuque Hempstead. Cougars, of course, are not playing again this weekend, but will be able to play in week 5.
Yeah, that's a rugged remaining 3 games on the schedule for Waterloo West. But again, it'll set them up nicely to get into the playoffs.
They will be tested. Robinson on the move. He churns out another 4 yards.
I just see Waterloo West now just running out this clock. They've got the 17-point lead. Complete momentum changed from that whole entire second quarter. Here's a look at Robinson being taken down again by Zabo until after he picked up 3 yards.
Zabo's had a very good third quarter. Had an ankle injury in the first half and has come back nicely. Robinson bounces this one outside and he could take it. Down the left sideline, dive into the end zone, touchdown. is a flag.
It's going to come back for a hold on the outside. I believe the guilty party is Gunnar Burton. The left to wide receiver position, just trying to make a block downfield on the defensive back. Got his arms tangled up into that jersey and shoulder pads area.
Holding penalty on the play.
But it'll still be a 16-yard. The run will count.
Bring the ball back to the 30. So it'll be 2nd down and 5. Schulte wants it all, and he had it, and Tyree Gardner wide open, couldn't hang on to it.
He's got behind the defensive back and away from the free safety. Schulte lays out a beautiful pass to him at the 2 to 3 yard line. Just took his eye off it for a moment.
Boy, Schulte has a terrific arm.
He can deliver, can he? Oh, boy. Gardner would like to have that one back.
Tyree would like to certainly have that one back, and he knows it. Third and 5. Schulte again. Has another wide open receiver. This is Vivians. And he is inside the 10.
Pass from number 2, Carter Schulte.
Down by Markham.
To number 16, Orlando Vivian Jr. For the Wildhawks, first down.
Well, they went trips formation to the right side, and he just found the under receiver that just ran a 5-yard out. It happens to be Vivian's. Jefferson's defensive backfield is going with the receivers, taking them back.
The thing that Schulte does so well too is he rolls out to his right and his left. Good gang tackling up front by the Jayhawks. Robinson got very close to another touchdown.
Yeah, Schulte does a nice job. He can roll right or left and throw the football with ease. And either way he rolls, he knows how to get his shoulder square, especially rolling to his left. But even to the right, but he doesn't have to get all the way out. He, 2 or 3 steps, he's delivered that football.
Came into tonight with 550 yards through the air. Here's Robinson again. Breaks a tackle and fires toward the end zone, and it looks like it's going to be enough. 6 more for West. Another tough run inside the tackles by Mike Robinson.
Yeah, and again, Zabo had him in the shoulder pads at about 3 yards deep. Now Zabo come in, just not strong enough to hang on to him to bring him down.
And a tough guy to bring down.
He is. He's a lot of young man there, isn't he? A mass, good power, good speed.
There we go, right down the middle.
Tradition.
Jackson Hoppus. 60% on BATs the first 3 ball games.
You'll see Robinson low to the ground, just powerful, good hips, drives forward, and just gets that ball across the goal line for the score.
So 38 straight points put on the board by Waterloo West. 5-play drive, 33 yards, under 2 minutes.
The first score came a minute into the second quarter, not even a minute, 15 seconds into the second quarter, but it finished off a possession that started late in the first quarter after Jefferson had taken that 14-0 lead.
Melvin will take it. Lonnie with good speed gets it out to the 30-yard line. Brought down by Ewell. he's going to hobble off.
Came over and received that kickoff and saw something up the middle, just burst through there.
Blitz back in there. And nothing for Pope. Guess who?
Ewell?
Robinson.
But 50-50 chance,
take your pick.
Now that's a play that, 2 or 3 times back in that first half, Cedar Rapids Jefferson had a chance to work with it. Now Waterloo West able to cover it. Just making sure that they lock on to whoever it is that they're assigned to on a pass play.
Burnett for 4.
Be a little conservative. They don't need to give up a turnover here. But then again, you really have nothing to lose at this point. You might as well really try to make perfect plays out, picking up big yardage.
Jacob Stevenson. Jayhawks need a big play to keep this drive going. Blitz with time and throws it deep, and it's incomplete. Pongo.
He was so close to the sideline, and Blitz had to throw it a long ways. And it had to have been a perfect pass for him to catch it in the field of play. Blitz does a nice job to get away from the rush. And I know he sees Kapungo downfield. He just had to elude a couple of defenders before he could throw the ball to him by the time he's too close to the sideline.
Rottinghouse back defensively. Cross avoids the rush. Here's Robinson. Brought down at the 40. Zabo. 37-yard kick.
And yet another possession for Waterloo West. I mean, they've just built up so much momentum and confidence, and everything that they're doing is right. Good, strong running game. Have mixed in some pass plays.
And they don't get rattled.
Seem to be very composed. Because it's a 4-quarter game, and they got down 14-0. The game didn't end after the first quarter.
And a carry for Anderson, Nathan Anderson, a junior. As you would think, Wahawks get some fresh bodies in there, an opportunity with this lead.
Yeah. And take a chance on maybe getting your big horse running backs injured, which it wouldn't happen anyway, but you do need to develop that depth.
Zabo on the stop. Good pass out to Finn. And he gets out close to midfield.
And the only way that play works is it's the timing of it. The way that Carter Schulte got that snap back to him, he just quickly turns to his right. You see Finn to his right, he turns, here comes the pass right now. Now it's just up to him to find the running room. He got some nice blocks on the outside. They execute things very nicely. That first quarter was kind of more of a wake-up call for Waterloo West than anything. Get things revved up.
Give Jefferson a lot of credit, too, because they were ready to play. But also credit Waterloo West after the Schulte carry this team just doesn't get rattled. They've shown the ability to come back. They've got the firepower to do so, and they'll just keep grinding away.
I think it's that senior leadership. They have a lot of seniors on this football team who've been through the wars of playing in 4A football, some of them for 3 years. I think they realize the talent they have.
Carson Taylor on the stop. Incomplete. Intended for Burton.
Ball was a little bit underthrown, and Schulte was rolling out to his left, throwing on his back foot, rolling to his left. That's a long ball to throw. In that, when you're running in that direction, Burton just couldn't. He got his hands on it, just couldn't bring it in.
A lot of good for Coach Lonnie Moore. And a really good play there by Jackson Stone.
Filled that gap at the running back.
Yes, he did. Still playing hard.
Tackled by number 76.
He'll play college football.
He should be playing college football.
Wrapped up Anderson.
Right there, just leverage on him and let him loose.
That brings an end to a third quarter dominated by Waterloo West. We'll be back to Kingston after the break. Rob Brooks and Jerry Koala, week 4 of the high school football season, Waterloo West. Right at midfield, looking for victory number 3 this season. Jerry more than ever, as it's an incomplete pass to Gunnar Burton to bring up 4th and 12. Yeah, this is about the time of the year, a regular 9-game season, where you got to say to yourself, okay, we're getting to the end of September, and it's hard to believe you're already halfway through. Well, now you're really more than halfway through this year with just the 7 scheduled regular season games, and then everybody will play a playoff game for week 8.
And you got to be getting into your group at this point. As you mentioned, in a regular 9-game season, we'd be 4 weeks into it, and the teams that are reaching for the top and leading their districts, have their offensive set and systems down, executing nicely, scoring points, winning games, and they're getting a lot of support from the defensive side as well. But some of those teams, like a Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, even a Waterloo West at 2-1 coming into this game, they're a dangerous football team because they do have so many elements and they have so many skills people that they can work with.
Hempstead and Senior for the Jayhawks. So those games in October. Haven't had to leave the friendly confines of Kingston Stadium.
Yeah, I think only once they would have had to.
At Dubuque Hempstead on the 2nd. Both those teams pretty good.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those Dubuque schools. Senior beat Prairie a couple weeks ago. Prairie's a lot better team than than their record showed, and they showed it last week in the win over Cedar Falls. They beat up Cedar Falls. After Cedar Falls runs the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, it was pretty much all prairie from there. Although 2 extra turnovers by Cedar Falls did not help them.
Hoppus kicks it to Melvin, and he is greeted right at the 20-yard line.
Got to try to make plays. He does a nice job of coming up and receiving that punt.
29-yard kick. Carter Schulte for Waterloo West, now 13 of 24 for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that puts his total to 8 passing touchdowns this year. I don't want to jinx him, and we may not see him anymore. Who knows? He has not thrown an interception in 4 football games.
And he has shown why. He's a highly intelligent young man. He understands the game of football. He knows what his receivers are doing. He knows how to get rid of the ball if he doesn't have anything to throw to. But he certainly is their X factor. You can have all the skills people you want on the outside and even a running back, but if you don't have a quarterback who can operate that team effectively and be a good leader out there, you're an average football team.
Hawks keep it on the ground. Justin Burnett goes down hard. A little bit slow to get up.
Handoff right up the middle. Got tripped by his own man.
Betancourt in there.
He saw the gap in there, but he just got his feet tangled up with his offensive lineman.
And certainly Jayhawk fans know this, Jerry, but maybe fans watching from around the state. Southeast Polk was here last week, won that game, but then presented a over $5,000 check as a deep ball is picked by Lonnie Melvin. Lonnie, who had a couple of receptions last week. That's the biggest play of the Jayhawks have made since the first quarter for sure.
Well, he kept his focus right on that pass. This is really good coverage by Waterloo West. You see Melvin.
Gardner back there.
And all of a sudden Melvin able to come up with that reception. Great big play.
And I thought that was a really nice gesture by Southeast Polk. Presented a check for $5,050 to Jefferson to aid in the storm relief around the Cedar Rapids area.
Great humanitarian effort by Southeast Polk. It was more than just a football game last week, although they did win the game. But they came down here to
and they'll win a lot of games.
If not all of them.
Big play for Lonnie Melvin, the junior. Here's Pope. He's greeted inside the 30. Rottinghouse again. You look at Ewell, Robinson, Rottinghouse. Talked about it at the top of the show. 3 senior linebackers that drew a lot of praise from the coaching staff for Waterloo West, and we are finding out tonight why.
And they cover the ground so very well. Move laterally nicely, make good solid tackles. Excellent football players.
Markham. His first carry tonight. Betancourt again from his defensive tackle position.
Got to remember now, Markham is taking the place of Kindheart, who got hurt earlier in this game in the second half. They're out their big gun.
Yeah, he was a big part of the offense, especially in the first half, has been all season. Flag comes out, a couple of them. Throw to the end zone, and it's batted away, incomplete. Wiederin was there, but holding Jayhawks. bring the ball back to the 36.
Got to keep pecking away at, they can get 2 8-yard plays, pick up a first down.
Blitz. Throws it up and incomplete. Threw a hustle back there by Kapongo.
He threw a curve ball, and that's what caused that ball to slip out of his hands and just flutter into the air.
He was on the move, too.
And again, somewhere there needed to be, a 10 to 12-yard pattern to be run. But Waterloo West really does a nice job to come after blitz.
Tavius Campbell.
Making it easy on him at all.
But for a sophomore quarterback to face the type of schedule that Jefferson has in September, you take your lumps, but you're going to learn some things as well. Incomplete. Lonnie Melvin, intended receiver, double team back there. It'll go over to Waterloo West.
Again, the Jayhawks running plays, just not being able to finish their possessions. They get so far, then they begin to stall. May have a penalty come up, and of course the defense has a huge role in this. That Waterloo West football team does. And Jefferson just got to overcome that and be able to continue that possession to the goal line.
Still in there and hands it off right up the middle to Michael Robinson.
I'd be surprised if Waterloo West throws another pass. Just pounding away up the middle.
Zabo in on another stop.
Duke's doing a nice job of fighting off the block. At least get a hand on Robinson.
Continuing to play hard. Play some college football too, somebody.
There's a number of players in that Jayhawk team that'll have some after high school sports opportunities.
Schulte showing some very good speed, and he gets into Jayhawk territory.
I guess I lied. I didn't think they'd throw another pass, Rob. I thought they'd be content.
Well, I guess
football.
I guess he didn't. So you're still intact. Okay, right. You're off the hook so far.
Well, dropping back, looking for a receiver. He showed some good wheels here. He's going to help this Waterloo West Wahawk football team make some noise in that postseason. If they can get the right matchup, I think would really help them.
Robinson. Zabo. Bloodsaw get on the stop. Zabo, he'll play all 4 quarters.
He's playing all 4 right now. He's giving every effort he can. He and Dukes. And here's Robinson coming to the near side, just looking for a place to run to. Yeah, Zabo really has turned it on here in this second half.
22 carries for Mike Robinson.
Just getting started, isn't he?
46 in the first 3 games. Incomplete pass. That intended for Norman. Wanted a flag.
And the thing about it is, Robinson's got to, share the running attack with Ewell. We also saw Nathan Anderson. We haven't seen Jay Shaw tonight, although he was listed as a starter. And then, of course, with Carter Schulte at quarterback.
Yeah, he's had a couple of big runs tonight. Pass across the middle, incomplete. In and out of the hands of Ewell.
Those short slant passes like that have been very successful for Waterloo West tonight. Scored on a couple of them, actually. There's a play action. Holds those linebackers, and you see Ewell coming across in that little slant. Tough to guard against that. You got to be right up on him. You give him some cushion, he's backing you off that line of scrimmage, and then he makes his cut. He still has that same cushion, so he's wide open.
Well, Hawks have lost 3 in a row to Jefferson. Flag comes out on 4th and 8. Go against West. Push him back 5.
I'm a little surprised that they haven't punted. Here comes the punt team now. I mean, there's some things you can work on a punt team when you're in your opponent's territory. You can work on corner kicks, pooch kicks, good coverage, you know, keep teams pinned back.
Jayhawks won 31-21 last year. Hoppus gets rid of it. Flag comes out. Melvin engulfed at the 12. That'll be some sort of roughing penalty on the Jayhawks.
Yep.
34-yard kick.
Don't know that if it'll be a 5 or 15-yard penalty. If it's a 5, it's not an automatic first down. So my guess is they'll decline it and let the Jayhawks have the football.
There you have it. Yeah, both Jayhawks tried to pull up, so it was contact, but this is the 5-yard variety. And also the good news is it's all smiles for Waterloo West. Is that so far, both of these teams have been able to play all 4 games.
Absolutely. Haven't had any problems with the real issue going on in our society today.
Incomplete. Ball thrown behind Zabo.
So credit them, the coaching staff, even their parents, you know, with social distancing and staying away from large crowds until we can be some kind of a cure, vaccine that's developed, or it just goes away.
Yeah, you think about it. Tough on kids and coaches, not knowing necessarily. Yep, the season started, we're playing football, but boy, one positive test or contact tracing, well, you could be down for a couple of weeks. And then, you know, the tough thing right now, Jerry, is if a team would go down, your postseason hopes are somewhat in jeopardy as pass is incomplete at the 20-yard line. Intended for Bloodsaw.
So it becomes that much more important as the days go by and you prepare for football games and you're halfway through it to not have those positive tests, so your season does get shut down. It's that much more important to be careful.
Teams in quarantine right now just can't wait to get back. You know that.
Yeah, 2 weeks is a long time.
Blitz. Has to throw it away. That'll bring up 4th down.
You know, but in the same sense, you just got to keep living life. You got to keep going on. You got to, whatever you have to do to protect yourself, to stay safe, do so. You know, within the means of continuing to live.
Cross. Angles this one toward the sideline, goes out of bounds at the 37. 4-yard kick. Well, next week we'll have Marion and Dubuque Waller. Marion with a big victory against Clinton. Indians are 2-1 after going 0-9 last year.
Nice rebound. Good preparation in the off season, you know, amidst this entire pandemic.
And during the storm on August 10th, lost any use of Thomas Park Field. Playing their home games at Linn-Mar High School, which they'll do next weekend. Robinson. He'll pound away for about 5.
You know, and Cedar Rapids Prairie will be hosting Linn-Mar, and Prairie's homecoming. Game was originally scheduled for Friday, next Friday, but it now has moved to a Saturday afternoon because of Linn-Mar being in shutdown. And so it'll be interesting. I don't think these kids don't know what it's like to play on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, Marion does. They played their only home game so far on Saturday afternoon. And scheduled to do so against Waller. Schulte still in there. Nathan Anderson up the middle, the junior running back. Three pretty good quarters of football Wahawks have put together.
They can do that for 4 quarters. Give a lot of teams fits. And once you get into the playoffs, you really can't fall behind against anybody, especially if you go deep into the playoffs, because every team you play is good, and they'll take advantage. They'll exploit you if you give them a chance.
Deep for sure. Anderson again. That first round won't be like you're used to with the 16-team playoff, where it can be a really tough opponent. It's almost like just another regular season game.
It is. Maybe the first 2 rounds, to be honest with you.
For some teams.
Maybe not necessarily in 4A because of the few teams that they have, but you get to the lower levels, 2A, 1A.
But the fun part of that will be there'll be some upsets. And there'll be some really good stories, you would think, that'll emerge. Hang in there for a couple of weeks where maybe they weren't expected to. Anderson greeted right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, teams get gelling together offensively, defensively. They start playing better. You get the nicks and bruises and some of the minor injuries that occur where you get your players back and they're all healthy. Those teams that may end up 500, if you will.
Terrence Woods in on the stop for Jefferson. Schulte with the keeper. Sidesteps a couple of tacklers. Gets inside the 5-yard line.
He does such a nice
Pretty
job.
Nifty run.
Yeah, he does such a nice job of faking that run into the middle, because the Jayhawk defenders are now looking at it. There have been so many runs. Look at this. And he pulls it, gets around the defensive end, gets some downfield blocking.
Showed good feet there. Heidemann, just a sophomore with a good tackle. Delay a game. Lonnie Moore, I don't think he'll be too pleased with the penalties tonight. A lot of penalties on the list. Good enough to overcome, no doubt about it.
A lot to be happy about and joyful as they prepare for their next game. But certainly, you pick the things that in other games that could harm you.
Anderson, nowhere to go. Nice stop by Markham. 8 penalties for 70 yards.
Ooh. When a lot of those were in the first half, if I remember correctly. So, they got that taken care of before they came to the second half. That and the 25 points they scored in that second quarter.
This is an explosive team, no doubt about it. With many weapons, Schulte, Robinson, Finn, Norman, Ewell. Back down to the 5. Anderson.
Doing what they can to run out this clock. They'll score if it happens, but I think they just prefer to see the clock run out, take the 24-point margin of victory.
Hatchet in there for Jefferson defensively. Anderson, and he barrels into the end zone for 6. Nathan Anderson.
Well, you see him right up the middle. Just good squared up blocking by that offensive line.
Hoppus. And that's right through. That's 2 in a row for Jackson Hoppus. And Waterloo West goes on top 45-14 with 45 straight points after getting down 14-0 in the first quarter. We'll be back after the break on MC22. Nathan Anderson gets a TD for West. 5'6" junior.
Well, we've seen this running game really explode here tonight. The second, third, and fourth quarter for Waterloo West.
Yeah, they can throw it too.
Found a niche and they exploited it, and then they used the passing game to balance things out. And that's what good teams do. They know how to mix it in, execute, be productive, score points, play good defense.
And it's a young offensive line, too, that I thought did some really good things tonight.
I noticed as well that they're not very big, sizable, I guess, if you will, but you got a 170-pound offensive tackle and a 170-pound offensive guard. That's not very big. Their biggest is at 230 pounds at left tackle. Especially at the 4A level. We're used to seeing people at 230, 240. Kennedy's at average about 270.
Blitz. Under the gun again. And he is smacked. Good job by Finn. Come up.
Yeah, you see him, Finn, running off the field. They had a nice angle on him to the sideline. Blitz trying to get to the sideline and get out of bounds. Nobody to throw to it on that left side. Blitz on the move. just get to the sideline and take the hit there.
Joel Watts, 5'9" senior with the carry. Joel Watts, his first carry tonight.
He's getting some fresh legs in there. New offensive lineman going in too. You know, Jefferson has played hard. We saw him play hard against Iowa City Liberty. Again, hurting themselves as much as, you know, Liberty and Waterloo West stopping them, but you got to continue to believe in yourself and be strong and, you know, work from week to week. We saw an excellent first quarter here tonight.
Very good. And the fumble. And it looks like Waterloo West has come up with the football. Night that started very promising for Jefferson. Waterloo West took control.
See, just a simple handoff, dive read, and just gets poked away. Making the hit was Quavian Murphy for Waterloo West, just to tip it away. And the recovery. They'll run one play, call it a game.
And Waterloo West will be 3-1.
You know, they've started 3-1 the last couple of years in a row, Rob, and then they just kind of filtered away down the stretch. Competition got a little more difficult. Maybe had some injuries. You know, you never know. But at least they get off to the good start. Give themselves a head of steam.
Competition usually has
a lot to do
something to do with it. But tonight, the Hawks, Waterloo West, took control in the second quarter and defeat Cedar Rapids Jefferson by the final score of 45-14. We'll be back to wrap things up from Kingston after this. High school football on Mediacom MC22 is brought to you by McGrath Family of Dealerships, 5 Seasons Tire, the Tom Riley Law Firm, Collins Community Credit Union, Heartland Hearing Center, and by Extreme, powered by Mediacom. Waterloo West, 45 straight points after getting down 14-0. Win it 45-14, move to 3-1. Jefferson falls to 0-4. Really good start, Jerry, for Jayhawks, and then Waterloo West took over the final 3 quarters.
Absolutely. I'm very optimistic about what Cedar Rapids Jefferson has ahead of them. They got to make it a 4-quarter game. For Waterloo West, they, like we had talked about, they kept their poise. They got that running game going. They got good leadership, from Carter Schulte at quarterback and the defense that was just pounding, on Cedar Rapids Jefferson to enable West to win this game.
Yeah, West 514 yards and 320 through the air. Carter Schulte 13 of 26. Mike Robinson 87 yards on the ground. And for Jefferson, Carson Blitz ended up throwing for 78 yards, 215 total for the Jayhawks. Thanks to our entire MC22 crew, broadcast partner Jerry Cole. I'm Rob Brooks. Thanks so much for watching. Good night from Kingston Stadium.